welcome to Silverstone in Great Britain. We're at the home of the British Racing Drivers Club, the home of the British Grand Prix. It's a cold and blustery Easter Sunday afternoon as the SuperLeague Formula 2010 gets underway. A fantastically exciting first race has left us already, with Tottenham claiming the opening victory of the season. And now we get into race 2, where the fastest start at the back and the whole field is reversed, and that adds extra spice to the challenge that is the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, we've seen some fantastic racing so far today. We've had weather mixing it up. We had a fantastic race, fantastic start by Craig Dolby around the circuit with the race. The most important part is the start, getting through Copse. It was crucial to the race 1 winner, and then also we see some passing places, getting through the Vale Club. It's been resurfaced. It's very difficult at the moment, and obviously the hanger straight, getting a good run down there, you can get a beautiful pass in.
And Silverstone will not look like this for much longer. The resurfacing part of the work that's going in for the new Grand Prix layout will be over 3.5 miles long when it is fully completed. Leaden skies this morning, scudding clouds overhead brought a few spots of rain right at the end of race 1, but the track is still as dry as it's been all weekend, and that gives us a chance perhaps for another real barnstormer in race 2. So race 1 then, the first of the season, 3 races at every race weekend. Let's take a look at what happened here, first time out at Silverstone. But here we go then to get SuperLeague Formula underway. Max Wissel leads them to the line, cars squirming as they hit the throttle, and the season is underway. Immediately Craig Dolby looking to the inside of FC Porto, defending. Liverpool's on the outside, Dolby's car wiggles wickedly, but he's up to second. Porto third, Liverpool fourth. It is Wissel that leads, and Craig Dolby goes for the lead down the inside into Maggots. He's never raced at Silverstone in the dry, but you would not know it from that opening couple of corners.
Yeah, that was absolutely unbelievable by Craig Dolby. He's got so much more heat in the tyres than everyone has. Alvaro Perrin is really struggling. A huge twitch by James Walker and Seville.
Yeah, Parente has gone back another place. He's now down to 5th position. Marcos Martinez of Sevilla, he always starts strongly. He got by. No, it wasn't. It was Duncan Tapia of Flamengo. So Parente now with Sevilla behind, Milan behind them, and Galatasaray have gone backwards. Sevilla drifting out wide, Marcos Martinez. So he loses 2 places. Second place is now Flamengo's Duncan Tapia. Max Wissel
is gone.
Has gone off.
Oh no, he's just spun it.
Bounced off the curb, didn't he? Spurs lead, Liverpool are out of race 1, and here is the battle for third. It is closer than ever across the line. He's going to have a look maybe around Copse.
No, not quite.
Craig Dolby makes no mistakes and claims the first win of the SuperLeague Formula season for Spurs.
Great job, Craig!
Excellent job by Jelmer Berman to take second place, and Duncan Tapia as well. Hats off.
At the start, he just opened up for me and I just hit the push to pass and off I went. And
from 4th to 1st though, did you imagine that so quickly?
I wanted it, yes, so that's what I wanted to do, and I'm over the moon. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's never anything less than really bubbly, is he? And Craig Dolby, that first race win, what a great start to the season. Of course, now he's right at the back of the grid though. But race 1, well, you talked about it already, Earl. The key was the start.
Yeah, the key was the start. You saw Craig Dolby, look at the grip. He's got so much more. He's on the push to pass right now. Gets such a good run, and through alongside Max Wissel and into the lead, and this was the key point, and from there he looked like the dominant man. No one can touch him from here on in.
Well, before the mid-race pit stops, he'd already opened up a 16-second lead, and he goes on the dry inside part of the track. The defensive line on the outside is wet, and it's the traction here. He just storms by everyone.
Yeah, it looked like he was the only one there hooked up in that groove. Worked out that it was dry on the inside. The rest were floundering around on the outside in the wet, and he just charged through. And let's see if he can do it again for the reverse good race.
Well, we had a look at him before the start of race 1 and miraculously failed to curse him. Let's take a look then at some of the other stars in our cars.
This is who I am.
This is who I am.
This is me.
This is who I am.
This is who I am.
I am am Alvord Variant. I am determined and very focused. SuperLeague formula, it's very fast.
Hi, I'm Frank Montagny. I'm driving for Girondins de Bordeaux. I'm 32 years old and I'm living in Switzerland, but I'm French. The first thing is really to enjoy it, and to enjoy it perfectly you have to win, so we're trying to win the championship, I guess. Same goal for everyone.
I'm Robert Dornbos, 28 years old, driving for Corinthians in SuperLeague Formula. First of all, I'm very good looking. I go very fast on the track and I have great sponsors. I had a great experience in 2008 when the season had its first year, and they called me back, so they like me probably.
Here we go, Dornbos is going on to victory, and this changes everything.
I'm Naren Karthikeyan, 32 years old, driving for PSV Eindhoven. Enjoying my racing, and I'm living my dream, first driver from India to take this up as a profession, and setting an example and a lot of youngsters following my footsteps.
It is going to be victory for Sebastian Bourdais.
I'm Sebastian Bourdais. You're always gonna age, and you're always gonna be fighting young kids. So you know, when I was 18, I was very fast as well, but just nobody knew about me. So yes, it's my turn now to be the reference.
He's fun for the whole rotation, and he's still leading the race.
I'm quite superstitious, so I was matching my boots, then eat my particular food. Yeah, I have a full list. Too long to tell.
I'm not very superstitious at all. I just like to feel that things are under control and that there are no surprises.
I always like to get into the car from the left side to the right, so with my right foot first, but it's the way that is better for me. So.
SuperLeague formula.
Competitive.
A lot of overtaking.
Great speeds.
Good crowds.
750 horsepower.
SuperLeague Formula is very fast. Watch it.
And they're not kidding. Oh, I tell you what, I'm sure there's a few drivers could have done with a little bit of that. Normally you use those blowers for, well, cleaning the tyres off, laminating up the vinyl on the car. It's not often you see drivers trying to be warmed up on the grid. Normally keeping the temperature down is the main thing, but here at Silverstone, it is pretty cold, Earl.
Yeah, it's been freezing cold all weekend. It's only about 6 degrees out there, so that's why you can see he's trying to get a little bit of heat back into his feet so he can feel those foot pedals as he's driving around.
And so critical at the start. This is our pole man, yesterday's pole position winner in the shootout, Max Vissel, FC Basel. Didn't get the greatest start. We saw Craig Dolby, got rid of him in the first couple of corners, and he ended up, in fact, in the end, in 5th position. Not a bad start, but certainly not what he would have been hoping for. Of course, now he's further back in today's second race grid, so he needs to pull out some of that great overtaking ability that we know he's got.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine today. He's got great pace. He had a moment going through Maggots and Beckett's and cut throughout the track, but yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be okay. He'll do some good passing moves. I'm sure he's got pace, so let's see how he goes.
Well, it's very unusual, isn't it, in any major category to have the race one winner starting right at the very back, but that's what faces Duncan Tappy. Conversely, champions Liverpool, first car to retire in race one when James Walker had a spin and then lost the engine. He will start at the very front, so very differing results for the top two teams from last year. Dolby with a win and 0 points for Walker, and now James has got the chance to sort of return that favour. He starts on pole and Craig will be last but one on the grid. It's Montagny's Girondins de Bordeaux team which broke a drive shaft in the warm-up lap, didn't start the race. That'll be right at the very rear.
Yeah, I'm sure James wasn't hoping to start off the front row for this race, but he is off the front row. I'm sure he'll be very quick from the beginning.
Well, Craig Dolby down at the tail end of the grid. Our ace pit reporter Abby Griffiths is down with him. He was very excited after race one. He's been bouncing off the walls all between getting ready for race two. Let's hear what he has to say about the feature race in front of him.
Okay, so he was first in the first race of the season, but that does mean the second race you are at the back of the grid.
Yeah, we're starting at the back. It's quite a long way forward there, but this is what I like about SuperLeague Formula, and it makes the challenge, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Now, Craig, in the first race you went from 4th to 1st fairly quickly. How can we go from this spot right to the front of the pack early on?
We're going to try and do it early. I think we're going on quite an aggressive strategy, and I just have to make sure I drive hard to pull it off, and let's just go and have some fun and enjoy it.
I love that you're always smiling. Well, good luck. Drive aggressively.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, like I said, still looking pretty happy. I'm sure it's not the chocolate, it is the win. He's just been bouncing off the walls. Really funny to hear Narayan Karthikeyan, who I've seen racing in the UK since he was, well, early 20s, to say now he's one of the old men in the field. But great to see him back here in the UK, combining Super League Formula with the NASCAR Craftsman's truck. So same power, but with a big V8 in front in a pickup truck, or behind him a V12 engine in these super fast single-seaters. Real difference for his racing season this year. But Abby caught up with him a moment or two ago. Let's find out what India's first international racing driver had to say.
They're literally attaching new tyres right by us now. But I'm with Narayan Karthikeyan. Narayan driving for PSV Eindhoven. Narayan, NASCAR's 1 week and these 750 horsepower machines are next. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult weekend for us. We didn't have any practice and I haven't driven a single-seater since last May in 2009, so a bit of a gap, but we'll do the best we can and use it as a learning weekend for us, and hopefully we can, make the car much better for Aston.
Yeah. What are your ambitions for this in race 2 here?
Well, obviously, starting 5th, we want to make the most out of it and, try and get further forward if we can.
Okay, thank you.
I just caught up with team boss Jan Lammers, racing for Holland, running that car for Narayan Karthikeyan during the lunch break, and he was saying it's all come together a little bit later than they'd hoped for, but he said when we are ready to win, Narayan will be there to do it for us. No question at all about that. So they're looking at moving forward. Now then, one of the expected front runners in race 1 had a really torrid time. Olympic Lyonnais driver Sébastien Bourdais, and it all came unfurled during the pit stops. Well, he came into the series last year, Earl, after being ousted rather rudely from the Toro Rosso Formula 1 team, but he immediately hit the ground as a winner for Sevilla and became a regular front-running contender.
Yeah, he really showed how strong he was. I think he did 6 races last year and won 3 of them, so he really proved how quick he can be, and I think he's going to be a real threatening force. But this was how his day ended today. He was going well, and then dramas in the pits, a stalled engine, and that really halted his race.
Yes, it was an engine management problem that gave him so many dramas, but it does mean he starts near the front of the field, and Abby got a chance to catch up with him, so he will be on the front row.
Now, Sebastian, you experienced a few problems in the pits. You didn't look too happy. Tell us what happened.
Well, when you feel like you have a good result going on, obviously, when you have hiccups in the pits, it's never a nice feeling. And nothing really the boys could do about it. The engine just died when I clutched and went in my box. So hopefully the engine guys have fixed the problem and we won't have a repeat. But then, obviously the pace seemed to be pretty good, so hopefully we'll have a good race.
Obviously now you need to get the points. You're starting fairly high at the top of the grid, so can we expect good things?
Yeah, I hope so. I think, we were running up front in the first race, looking fairly strong, so hopefully we can repeat that and this time get the result at the end.
Okay, hopefully no engine problems. Thank you, Sebastian.
Well, whatever else happens, you know that there's not going to be too much of a drama with the driver. Bourdais there left on the front of the grid. He'll start in 2nd position. Tyres not on the car yet, Earl. He's keeping them as warm as he possibly can before he fits them.
Yeah, no, it is an important point. We saw Craig Dolby make such a charging start in the last race when he had good tyre temperature, and the team are trying to do this. They are trying to keep the tyres as long as they can off the car, but you have to be careful with this. There is a rule where you have to have the car ready to go 3 minutes before, so he's got to get those tyres on soon.
Well, he's not going to go anywhere without them, so that's a fairly obvious indicator that the team know exactly what they're doing. And again, despite that engine problem in race 1, clearly very relaxed, very focused. This is not them making any mistakes. This is them pushing every element of the competitive envelope as far as they can.
Yeah, exactly. And it's these little bits that get you to win races. And Sebastian is a very, very experienced driver, and he's cool, calm and collective.
So lots of pressure then for our new driver, James Walker. He's in with defending team Liverpool. He starts on pole after retiring from race 1. Let's hear what he told Abby just a moment ago.
So in pole position for race 2 is James. It does mean, however, that last race didn't go quite according to plan.
No, it didn't. We had a small off down at the Club and Vale section, which meant I spun and stalled. I tried to get it going again, but you can't with these cars with no starters. So yeah, it was a shame. We were running third place. It was really tricky at the beginning with the wet conditions, so hopefully we can get some points out of this one and try and get a win.
Yeah, well, we're hoping it's going to remain dry. So what are your ambitions for this race? Obviously to pick up points, but how are you going to go about that?
Yeah, we've got to just go for the win and see where we end up. I think that, again, we didn't get any running in the dry in that race, so people might have learned a bit of something, but we'll give it our best and see what happens.
Okay, well done.
Well, James Walker's fans, the Walker Stalkers, will certainly be hoping for something here. First Jerseyman to come right up through the field in international motor racing. And of course, Liverpool carrying that number one after winning the championship last year. Still with the ATEC team. And look at those grey clouds overhead. It's not raining yet, but it is blustery. We did have a couple of sprinkles in race one, Earl, so who knows what might happen.
Yeah, you never know what can happen, and this is Super League Formula. We've got a full reverse grid, so anything can happen. James Walker does have a bit of pressure to go well in this race, and I know his trainer quite well, Stuart Walker, and yeah, he was a little bit disappointed after the race, but I'm sure they'll come out charging for this one and hold nothing on the track.
Well, James was saying he felt pretty happy with the car in race one. It was handling well. He had good speed. It was very slippery in the new elements of the circuit, and unfortunately that mistake cost him dear. From Montagny, well, they had dramas this morning, warming the car up. It broke a drive shaft. They changed that. It broke a drive shaft going out of the pit lane to try and go onto the grid at this stage of race one. So he didn't start at all, which means he is last on the grid. Right in front of him is our race one winner, Spurs' Craig Dolby. Championship runner-up last year already, has maximum points. And Milan, well, Jelmer Berman drove really strongly, didn't he? All these guys that were in the top three came from fourth and below on the grid. So Berman from seventh to second place. It was a great drive.
Yeah, it was a fantastic drive, and he showed great pace. And here's another man that was absolutely outstanding. Duncan Tappe hasn't been in the car for a long time and did a stellar job to hold on for the final podium place.
Porto's Alvaro Parent really pushed him in the closing stages, just could not find a way past Tappe's defence. So Porto finished fourth. This was our pole sitter for race one of the season. First pole did not mean first win this year. It did at Donington last year, but he couldn't quite capitalise. Max Wissel fifth after a very muddy off early in race one. Sevilla's Marcos Martinez, return of Sevilla, new driver, Spanish driver Marcos Martinez, and he's a very quick young guy. Could be highly entertaining throughout this season, as will Borja Garcia, little older Spanish driver, much more experienced, and he changes teams this year with Sporting Club de Portugal. So again in the top half dozen in race one. Another rookie driver, Julian Juice for Roma. When he got rid of John Martin in front of him last 2 or 3 laps, he said car was really quick. Now he's got some dry running under his belt at Silverstone. Looking forward to this race.
Yeah, he'll be a charger. Here's Davide Rigon, starting off the back in the first race, moved his way up well in the first race, so I expect some good things from him now.
2008 champion, of course, returns 2 seasons later, and he will start just behind Atletico's John Martin. Martin raced last year as well, and in this car for the weekend. Just in front of him, Robert Dornbos of Corinthians. Now, Dornbos again had real dramas in qualifying. It was an unmitigated nightmare. This morning, he said, have not done a single flying lap of the track. Well, now he has. Now he can roll his sleeves up and start the season.
Yeah, exactly. And here's Narain Kartikeyan. Not a bad first race, just getting his feet after driving touring cars for a lot of the time. And Kiwi compatriot Chris Vanderdrift here on the grid.
Yeah, Vanderdrift, another rookie here in Super League Formula, but of course returning of Olympiakos, their third year with this season. As for Galatasaray, new driver for them as well, Tristan Gomedi, another hugely experienced French single-seater star. And Gomedi started race one on wets. The gamble that he and Vanderdrift took did not work. Second on the grid then, Sebastian Bourdais. He's got to be in the frame every time he sits in the car to win a race, and that puts huge pressure on our pole sitter, James Walker, for defending champions Liverpool. He's got to forget race one's dramas. He's got to forget the presence of Bourdais, look into Copse Corner in a few minutes' time when they come to the rolling start, and just hurl himself into the lead of the race and try and put some points on the board for Liverpool. So away they go, well, and for a driver, tense moments now, making sure you don't overheat the tyres, but leave enough rubber on your grid spot to try and give yourself a good getaway.
Yeah, no, exactly. These guys are certainly pumped for this race, especially the guys that won or in the podium in the last race. Starting off last, they'll be absolutely pumped for the first couple of corners, but it's important to get through those corners. And then you've got guys like Liverpool FC pumped to start from the start, as well as Sebastian Bourdais. It's going to be a brilliant, brilliant race.
Through the familiar opening sequence of corners down to Maggots and then Beckett's at Silverstone. Second element of the Beckett's S is remodelled. It's been resurfaced. There's a lot of mud on the runoff area. Max Wissel showed us that in race one. Just kept going, could not get the car stopped. Down onto the hanger straight, and at the end of here, the first major overtaking opportunity of the lap.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be exciting going down the hanger straight in the first lap. We're going to have to really look out for some good passing opportunities as we go down. I think it's nervous times for the guys in the grid here.
So here we go then for race 2 of Super League Formula 2010. Champions Liverpool start on pole with James Walker alongside him. Olympique Lyonnais, like Walker, disappointed in race 1 with Sebastian Bourdais. Galatasaray's gamble on wets didn't pay off in race 1. Tristan Gomedy starts third for them ahead of fellow gambler on wet tyres Chris van der Drift at Olympiakos. India's Narain Karthikeyan for PSV is fifth ahead of Robert Dornbos in the Corinthians car. And starting on row 4 of the grid, Atletico de Madrid, John Martin, and Anderlecht with 08 champion Davide Rigon. AS Roma's Julian Jus and Sporting Club de Portugal's Borja Garcia are ahead of Marcos Martinez on the grid, and he has got Max Wissel alongside. Alvaro Parent, Duncan Tappy, Jelmer Berman and race 1 winner Craig Dolby all start ahead of Girondin de Bordeaux's Frank Montagny. So cars coming around through Bridgebend into the final 3 corners here at Silverstone. Left at Priory, left at Brooklands, and then the long right-hander that starts the lap. Safety car lights are off. Here's our race leader's view. James Walker getting ready to start, hopefully ahead of Sebastian Bourdais.
Yeah, we saw he had brand new tyres on there as well, so he's got an advantage because he didn't use a second set in the first race, so he's going to be quick from the outset, but yeah, here we go, rolling up for the start.
So 40 minutes with a compulsory 4 tyre change in the middle. Safety car pulls off, Walker will pace the field. He's on the right-hand side, the light white and blue colours of Olympique Lyonnais alongside Mighty Reds Liverpool, pacing the field to the flag. He's going to go very late indeed here. Away we go. Race 2 is underway. Green, green, green. 40 minutes and counting. Good start by Walker, and Bourdais didn't get away so quickly. He's on the defensive. Up the inside has gone Olympiakos and Chris van der Drift to third ahead of Tristan Gomedy in the yellow and red of Galatasaray in fourth place, but Gomedy looking right back at him. We're in fourth now, riding with a Frenchman.
Yeah, no, there's a great start. Good start by Walker, but look at Bourdais, really right on the back of him right now. He's going to pressure him down the hanger straight. We can see in the background Tottenham Hotspur's right up. And have we ever moved for the lead on the first lap?
Bourdais gone right by him. He's using the over-rev facility immediately through the Beckett's S's. Came out of Chapel Curve with more speed. Drifted straight by James Walker. And Walker perhaps caught a little flat-footed there. May have been on the over-rev himself, but not early enough. Basel getting edged out onto the dirt there. This is not a confidence-inspiring start for Max Wissel. He needed more than this, but he's already been passed by Porto. And in fact, Spurs have already gone up the order. There you can see our third place car from race 1. Duncan Tappy's Flamengo machine behind him. James Walker in second place as Olympique Lyonnais, Sebastian Bourdais leads. And there is the Spurs car. What's he about? 8th or 9th now, it looked like. Our race 1 winner, Craig Dolby. A sensational start for him. On board with Karthikeyan for PSV.
Yeah, you saw that Dolby was going to say he was going to be very aggressive at the start, as we are on board with Narain Karthikeyan. Good solid start, going through the last couple of corners. Under pressure there again by AS Roma. What's going to happen here coming onto the straight?
Roma with Julian Jus, like Karthikeyan. First race weekend in these cars. He raced F2 last year, so very different car. Oh, and right behind there's a little battle as well. You can see Robert Dornbos just holding on at the front of these 4 ahead of, looks like John Martin in the Atletico Madrid car. It is. Martin's looking to go by as well. Wow, fantastic 4-way scrap.
Yeah, this is absolutely brilliant racing in the first couple of laps. There's so many battles, so much going on. There's a Galatasaray really twitching coming down the straight. And look, Corinthians is trying to hold off John Martin. It's a huge drafting battle. As we look, the man on a charge. We thought from the start he'd charge Craig Dolby. He is a true legend at passing.
Well, he's 11th there at the back of that queue, right in front of him, the red and white of Sevilla in front of him, Anderlecht. And there's this long queue, Olympique Lyonnais leading by 2.3 seconds from Liverpool after one lap, checking out the way that Craig Dolby did in race one. On board with FC Basel, 14th place at the end of the next group of cars, but there's a long run with Galatasaray, Corinthians, Atletico, PSV, AS Roma, Anderlecht, Sevilla and Spurs. All those cars there, that's going from third down to Spurs in 11th place, an 8-car train that Dolby's on the back of, so that's going to be highly entertaining.
Yeah, and I think the pit stops are going to come into this race very much. When you've got an 8-car train, it takes a long time. But if you get in the pits early, get a couple clear laps, you'll jump those cars within one lap. So the pit stops are really, really crucial, more so than the first race. As we see Sebastian Bourdais out front, he is a master in these cars and, really doing a solid, strong job. And it's what he should be doing.
And of course, what everybody is going to want to do in this queue is stop as early as possible, so you might find the entire queue going in as one man the moment the pit window opens, and that really just ruins everybody. Robert Dornbos then in the black car, black and white colours of Corinthians, really under pressure. John Martin's got the bit between his teeth in that Atletico Madrid. This is a battle for 5th and 6th. PSV Eindhoven, AS Roma, Anderlecht, Sevilla and Spurs are all in this queue. Yeah, that's the Spurs car.
Yeah, the Spurs car right on the back of the Seville car. He's pressured him. He's got him to block. Can he go round the outside of Stone? He told us he likes around. Oh, and you've got the AS Roma car going very wide. And look who's trying to go around the outside.
Well, look here, right in front as well. Atletico Madrid with John Martin really giving a lot of trouble to the black and white Corinthians car of Jelmer Berman, of Robert Dornbos. Too many Dutch drivers. Here's our race leader then, Olympique Lyonnais, Sebastian Bourdais, fastest on lap 1, fastest on lap 2, 4.2 seconds in front after 2 laps. And like Dolby in race 1, but even more so, he is disappearing into the distance. And as I said with Craig Dolby, if they can't put him under pressure now, he's just going to be in the groove, they'll never catch him.
Yeah, you've got some guys that are really charging through at the back, and we haven't seen their full potential or full taste yet. But Sebastian Bourdais, he certainly looks in the box there. We don't want to give him the commentator's curse, and we did see what happened to him in the first race when he did lose a lot of time in the pit stop. So it is going to be a pressure pit stop this time for the guys leading the race by such a margin. As we see this gaggle of cars, and we're on board now with FC Basel trying to get past Sporting Club of Portugal.
Yeah, FC Basel in 14th place, Sporting Club in front. But here is the battle then with Corinthians in 5th and holding up a queue of cars. John Martin now, as we ride with him in the Atletico car, under pressure from behind as well. He's got Roma's Julian Jus, PSV Eindhoven with Narain Carter-Ken in the queue as well. And you've got to say, actually, for Chris van der Drift, your compatriot, 3rd place for Olympiakos. On his own, he's done a really solid job first weekend in these cars. Great effort from him.
Yeah, no, he is doing a very, very solid job. He made an unfortunate call with the Nuets, as we hear a replay of the start. James Walker getting a good jump from Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais cruising there in 2nd, and Chris van der Drift getting up there in 3rd.
Yeah, Van der Drift and the Galatasaray car as well, both putting pressure on Bourdais, and that made it look like Walker had a chance to get clear, but again, the inside line gave Bourdais such good drive off the corner. By the time he got onto the brakes, Maggots into Beckett's, he was right with him. With Galatasaray, there is Van der Drift alongside. Very close there into Kops, dirtier on the outside there, so again, Van der Drift, like Bourdais, having more grip to play with.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think what Bourdais did at the start is he didn't use his power boost. That's how James Walker got such a jump. But when he came down to the hanger straight, he got such a better run and could just press that button and cruise around the outside of James Walker. It's a thinking. You can show his experience with that. He is thinking all the time about how to get those advantages, when to push the button. But James Walker is doing a solid job now. He's getting into his rhythm, getting into his pace. He missed a lot of laps in the first race, but now he's doing a good job for Liverpool FC.
Certainly is. He is the 2nd quickest car out there. Only Bourdais going faster. In fact, Walker was quicker on that last lap, but only by 0.04 of a second. On board with Julian Jus, another of our French drivers. He's in the AS Roma car. And as you can see, ASR 7th place for Roma, just ahead of PSV, Anderlecht and Spurs now into 10th place in the points. Lyonnais leading, Liverpool 2nd and Olympiacos 3rd. Galatasaray right behind Olympiacos, and then this long gaggle. Fantastic entertainment for the drivers. A little bit frustrating though for Robert Dornbos that he can't escape John Martin yet.
Yeah, it looks like Dornbos has struggled for a lot of the weekend. I'm not sure, because I know that he is an incredibly quick driver and did win the first season of Super League Formula, and yeah, he's just struggled, maybe just lacking a little bit of car time, but he does have this gaggle of cars behind him, and he's doing a good job to hold them away, but you know, I'm not sure how well he'll hold off once they start going into the pits, and you know, if he's got the ultimate pace to stay there.
A number of the drivers, because of the lack of dry running, were saying that they hadn't quite got the setup right. The left front tyre here takes such a pounding at Silverstone, as it does at a lot of clockwise circuits, and a lot of graining setting in, understeer, 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 and of course they'll be adapting the car then, changing the settings for race 2 to try and get a better balance and better tyre wear, better grip out of the car.
Yeah, no, that's certainly right, and I think one of the biggest people affected by that yesterday, or this morning, was the Flamingo car. He got behind and had to follow someone and grain the tyre in the high speed, and then after a few laps that then trailed down into the low speed, and the car just had so much understeer he couldn't turn, and that's why we saw him fall off the pace so much. And it is important, that's why you might see a guy back off and not hurt his tyres in the last couple of laps, really charge on when you've got nothing to lose by that time. And as we see John Martin so close to the Corinthians car, can he get a move done?
Well, now you see, when these two guys are battling so closely, you know that later on in the race, neither of them are going to have any over revs left, are they? Because surely they're both using it there at that stage. When the car behind is so close, you've got to use it. When you are the car behind, you want to use it. So they're negating each other's advantages, aren't they, all the way?
Yeah, it is, and it's so easy to get into a racing battle and want to get past that guy so intensely just in front of you, and then all of a sudden, once you do get past, you look down at your dash and it's saying 1 on the power boost, and it's an absolutely terrible feeling. Oh no, James Walker off again.
Well, that's again been caught out by the car. Very different, these Super League cars from the World Series by Renault machine he was driving last year. Much more power, much more grip, a bigger, heavier, much more grown-up car. And again, it's just caught him out a little there.
Yeah, and I think that's at the new part of Abbey.
Yeah, again, I think that was at Club Court. It was at Abbey, you're right.
And I think that could be that resurfacing we talked about earlier. There's a bump going in there with the resurfacing, and I think with that resurfacing change, it's just caught him out. He'd lost the rear end over the bump and consequently spun it. Great shame for Liverpool FC.
I tell you what, that's not the only one. There's one going into Abbey, there's one going down the Hanger Straight where there's a resurfacing. I know there's a big bump just before they get to the braking area. Bernie's boys are not going to be very happy when the Formula 1 cars come here and they're getting beaten up on what's supposedly a new circuit.
Look at this battle.
John Martin with the run down into the Beckett's S's, but has he carried too much speed in? That's a real block pass, because now he can control the speed through the Beckett's S's, but again, the guys behind may have more over-rev facility left.
Yeah, and look who's in the background there. It's Tottenham Hotspurs. He's going to try and look to take advantage as Davide Rigon tries to go, and it's going to be 3 wide.
Davide Rigon goes one side, Spurs go the other side, passing around Kartikeyan now again. Over rev, over boost, not something Lorraine has ever raced with, so this is all new to him, and you have to really think your way into these cars. For Rigon, for Craig Dolby as well, second nature. They know it's there, they know when to use it.
Yeah, no, exactly. You can see the experience of Dolby. He knows how to position the cars, he knows how to squeeze people up, and he knows how to pass on them, and he's doing a great job. Look, he's already trying to look at Davide Rigon to make the pass, or as Rigon makes a huge brake lock-up going into Abbey. But no, this is an absolutely fantastic battle.
Sevilla now with Porto on the back of that train, and here's where it starts. Robert Dornbos under pressure. John Martin got such a good run through Copse, absolutely flat, foot to the boards, through Maggots, he got alongside into the Beckett's S's. Now he controls it, he can stop when he wants. Dornbos can't answer.
Yeah, no, exactly. That was a very good, confident move, as we see FC Porto of our Parent just coming onto the back of this big gaggle of cars and about to join the battle, trying to pressure Seville.
So Parent 11th at the moment, Severe in 10th. Dornbos is now in 5th position for Corinthians as Atletico move up to 4th, and they're all drifting out wide on the AstroTurf, which as you can see is drenched. And AS Roma, Julian Jus goes by. Dornbos loses a place, and right behind as well, Craig Dolby snatched one too. So he moves up yet another spot, and that was the expense of Davide Rigon in the underleft car.
And look at it, look, he's straight on the back of Robert Dornbos and the Corinthians. Up the inside, is he going to get it done? That's 2 positions in 3 corners. Absolutely incredible.
Now, we were speculating, weren't we, that if you get on the over rev at Copse, the revs don't drop down low enough through the Beckett's S's if you get a good run to switch it off, and so he still had that over rev coming down Chapel Curve onto the Hanger Straight. He just went straight by him without even thinking twice.
Yeah, exactly.
And looks like Dornbos has got none left to argue with.
No, exactly. He is on it. He's got monstrous pace in the Tottenham Hotspur's car, and let's see how he advances. This is going to be his first full clear lap of running, so it'll be interesting to see his pace. And the other thing is that pit lane window is about to open up in the next 2 minutes. And we have a replay. See Robert Dornbos just understeering onto that really wet AstroTurf, as well as AS Roma, but they not quite as bad and just managed to sweep past.
Don't forget that Corinthians started this lap in 5th, ended at the bottom end of the top 10, and Dolby here again taking advantage immediately as Davide Rigon went out wide, and then suddenly he's got Dornbos right in front of him, and look at the speed differential here as he comes off the Chapel Curve. He just went straight by down the Hanger Straight, and he's gone, he's left them again, as in race 1, like he's in a completely different category of car as Roma breaks the duck, Galatasaray rather, and in they come. They are the first to change. Tristan Gomidi taking on new set of tyres.
Yep, no, exactly. He's in the pits. A little bit of slow on the left front there, but he's back out. At least he was on the right set of tyres for this race and not on the wets. As we see AC Milan have really struggled through the traffic and haven't made any headway whatsoever. It surprises me. He was very quick, but it is difficult to pass.
In fact, Milan have gone backwards because Franck Montagny in Girondin has moved in front of them. He's 15th. Milan, last running car in... No, Walker's still going. Last but one then. James Walker for Liverpool is at the tail of the queue, and yeah, there you can see the very dark blue and white of Girondin de Bordeaux just behind the Flamengo car. And again, Duncan Tappy, one of the stars of race 1, struggling to find any overtaking ability here, and I think he will have to come into the pits as quickly as he can. He's stopped behind Sporting Club de Portugal in this long queue of cars.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, if these guys want to make the super final, they've really got to get a move on, because it's about combining your 2 points, not taking your top 3 positions like it used to be. So these guys really have to get a move on, otherwise they'll miss the super final.
Absolutely right. Olympique Lyonnais leading. We haven't seen much of Sebastien Bourdais, but then nor has anybody else on the track. Olympiacos in 2nd, Atletico Madrid in 3rd place after Galatasaray made their pit stop. And of course Liverpool spun out to 2nd place, so rookie Van der Drift in 2nd for Olympiacos, John Martin in 3rd as we ride on board again with Narayan Karthikeyan, PSV Eindhoven 8th position, again right in the thick of this massive queue of cars and more spray being thrown up there. Looked to me like it was Milan off on the dirt, on the wet rather.
Yeah, you know, it's really exciting as we see pit window open, and that's interesting because did the Galatasaray car, did he pit within the pit window? That has got to be coming to question now as we see Davide Rigon making a pass on the Corinthians car. Fantastic up the outside, as well as FC Porto.
Oh, and
look at this.
Right there. John Martin and Craig Dolby. And in the middle of the sandwich was Roma's Julian Jus, and the car seems to be grinding to a halt out of the Vale.
Yeah, he's got a huge problem there. He ran wide in 2 corners. Maybe a flat tyre somewhere.
Well, don't forget, Atletico were 3rd, Roma 4th, Spurs 5th, so Roma had got in front of Atletico Madrid. Julian Jus had got by John Martin, and then suddenly he slowed. That's why these 2 guys had to take formation action to go around either side. This then now, the battle again for 3rd. John Martin's having entertaining time.
But now let's watch the pit window just open, so who is going to dive for the pits? It's the first lap that they can dive in. Who's going to go? We heard that Craig Dolby was going to make a very aggressive strategy when he was talking about that. Oh, no. And John Martin dives in, and this just opens up the track once again for the Tottenham Hotspurs driver, Craig Dolby, and he can just go out and set a really cracking pace. And John Martin, first car into the pits.
Okay, let's just reset this as Olympiacos and Atletico Madrid come down pit road. That leaves Craig Dolby in second place. Rain on our window, rain on the camera lens. Nobody yet coming in for wet weather tyres. It will be slicks. They are hot. The track is dry. But let's just reset this. Craig Dolby started in 16th place and he was fourth on merit, moved up to third as he got by John Martin coming into the pit lane. But he's done a cracking job, and him free on his own is the last thing that the race leader wants.
Yeah, no, that is exactly right. So, it's going to open up quickly, and we've got some spots of rain, which is just going to make the track a little bit slipperier for everybody, and it's going to be a little bit challenging. As we see,
Roma's Julian Jus.
Yep,
now, you said there might have been contact, and you were right. Again, your eyes pick up what the telltale signs.
Yeah, no, what happened there is he got a puncture, a slow puncture, and then as he drove around, the tyre ripped itself apart. He did a very good job to get it back to the pits and not tear apart the bodywork or the underfloor. So good job, Julian Juice, getting it back to the pits undamaged and unscathed.
So through the pits have gone Olympiacos and Anderlecht.
There's a replay.
Yeah, there it is. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that looks like the tyres just delaminated and ripped apart, and from there he can't do anything, and he's just in for the ride.
Now what may have started that is a little bit of front wing contact with his rear tyre. These Michelin tyres are not only very good in consistency in terms of giving grip throughout their life, but they are properly robust tyres, as they have to be with these huge downforce, huge power that these cars generate. And there he is, look, just double checking everything down the straight. He's not sloshing around the fuel, he's just making sure everything's attached. He's obviously just slightly got the willies about the car giving way under him again.
Yeah, and I think he's quite lucky there because he is in the pit window, so it doesn't cost him as much time as if he couldn't pit within the window. So he is lucky with it. As we see a whole gaggle of cars, and this is important, this is the pressure when the guys have to do a good pit stop. Who's going to get it done first? Good stop by the Flamingo team. Jean de Bordeaux getting away nicely, but Narain came very, very slow. Oh, that's terrible.
PSV in all sorts of trouble, so Jan Lammers' crew won't be happy with that. Well, it's their second racing pit stop outside of a Le Mans pit lane for a long while, so they're getting used to these cars. And he said, talked to him at lunchtime, he said, we have a lot to learn about the cars, about the format and everything else. You can't just assume everything, you have to learn it. And with Narain Karthikeyan, they think they've got a driver capable of leading them in the right direction. I think they're absolutely right. Here's our second place man then, Craig Dolby, quicker than the race leader by 0.05 of a second on the last lap, 36.28, 36.23 for first and second place men as Olympique Lyonnais come down pit road. Sebastian Bourdais is in the pits, and that means that Dolby now has a free road in front of him. There's no traffic either, Earl, so he's really got to capitalise now.
But let's look at Sebastian Bourdais' pit stop. It was terrible the first race. Are they going to get it done? Is he going to get away cleanly? It looks not the quickest, but he's still up in the air. Oh no!
Drama in the back. This is what happened in race one. It would not keep running. They have adjusted the idle, as we saw them trying to do this morning before warm-up, and he gets going once more. But that has got to be 5 seconds, possibly even 10 seconds longer than it needs to be, and he had a 12-second advantage when he came to a rest, effectively 20 seconds in normal running time, so that may well be halved already.
Yeah, exactly. He had enough of a gap, so hopefully the pit stop wasn't too slow. That gap might be down to about 5 seconds by the time Craig Dolby comes in and out of the pits. That's if he has a good pit stop, and it's going to make a fantastic race. And could you imagine if Craig Dolby could come to last to first? Here we go. Oh, and that's the Seville car going very, very wide, cutting the chicane. Where are you going to go? Oh, I'm going to take the grass and get back on the track.
Straight out of the pits, that's his fresh tyres ruined as he flat spots them there at Abbey. So now, yet to stop, Spurs our leader, Anderlecht in second, Sevilla in third, Liverpool in fourth. Will all have to make pit stops, but everybody else in the field has done so, including our race-long leader, Olympique Lyonnais, Sebastian Bourdais. And despite that pit stop, I'm sure he has got the pace to take a race win here, unless Dolby produces something quite extraordinary.
The box in front of us is ready as well, so you've got to go round them, Pit lane.
Here we go, this is one of the
go round the first crew. 3, 2, 1.
Important pit stop here. How are the men going to do it? They were very quick in the first race. Can they get it done in the second race as well? I don't think he's got new tyres going on there, though. We'll see.
He may well not have a new set. Here comes our race leader. It's going to be very close.
Yes,
Bourdais, of course, very quick, goes by Dolby, so he leads, but by how much? And who will be behind him? Was that Atletico in second place or behind? We'll have to wait and see at the end of this lap how it all shuffles out. Dolby's got to be at least 10 or 12 seconds behind there. It's going to take him a fraction to get up to speed.
Yeah, once it all filters through, we'll really see. But here's a huge oversteer moment as he's trying to get it into the pit lane. Oh, he almost looped it trying to get in there, but he's really, really pushing hard.
Great bit of flamboyance. James Walker is in for his stop. It's not going for him. This is not a weekend to remember for Liverpool and for James Walker, the Jerseyman, out of race 1 after a spin. Can't get the thing to go in race 2.
Yeah, this is a terrible start for Liverpool FC. Defending champions, and they might come out of the round with no points. They might as well not even turn up for the first round and say their championship starts at round 2 in Assen.
Well, yes, that's the way it's going to look anyway. And it looks as though they might have a similar problem to that afflicted Olympique Lyonnais in the first race, because it doesn't look like the car is running at all. In comes our final pit stopper. Davide Rigon doesn't get any points for leading a lap, but he almost led a lap. 2008 champion with Beijing Guan, now racing back again in Super League with Anderlecht, and it's going to take him and the team perhaps another race weekend or 2 to gel, but there's no question he's got the pace, and as he says, hey, I'm Italian.
Yeah, exactly, and let's listen to the pit stop. Guys have got the tyres off nice and quick. Looks like a pretty clean stop so far. Right rear's just a little bit slow.
Keep your foot on the brake, Davide, until the car hits the tarmac, and then away he goes. Now where's that going to feed him in? There's going to be quite a few cars in front of him. Anderlecht, the last car to come in. And we should see at the line in about 20 seconds, Olympique Lyonnais leading this race from Spurs. And given that there was a tail of the field result for Olympique, then Spurs really looking strong here at Silverstone. And you'd say, well, of course, he's British, he knows Silverstone well, had never raced the Grand Prix circuit in the dry at all up until this stage. So he is British, he knows Donington Park an awful lot better than he knows Silverstone, though.
Yeah, exactly, and it's going to... Oh, and here we go.
Girondin de Bordeaux, this is a good move going ahead of Flamengo. Franck Montagny, he said, we are really stuffed. We're starting at the back, did no laps at all in the dry, in practice or in race 1. He said the others have got 30 or 40 laps more knowledge than us. We have got nothing to offer, but he's in 11th place at the moment. Here is our race leader, Sebastian Bourdais, behind Galatasaray, who have stopped. So are Galatasaray leading? If they are, that would be a great job by Tristan Gomidi.
No, I think it might be Olympiakos with Chris van der Drift. He was the closest man. He was in second. Let's see
you may
when
well
they cross
right.
the line, who's in the lead.
I think you're absolutely right. It is Olympiakos. Rookie Chris van der Drift leads. Galatasaray under pressure for second from Sebastian Bourdais. Fourth, John Martin, Atletico Madrid. Fifth place, there is our race 1 winner, Tottenham Hotspur, Craig Dolby. FC Porto in 6th position. Now he's made up a lot of places, Alvaro Parent, during a pit stop, so that's good work by his team. Corinthians 7th, Basel 8th, Girondin 9th, Flamengo 10th,
Here we go, look at this. Bourdais passing for second place easily on the power boost, round the outside, down the hanger straight, and just gets the job done easy. And now he's going to be hunting down Chris van der Drift in the Olympiakos car. And I think, oh no, terrible, James Walker out of the car. That's his day done.
Yeah, that's a really dreadful start to the season for him, on board with Max Wissel in the Basel car. What are we seeing here? Well, coming down through the veil. And right behind him is the car of Robert Dornbos. And Dornbos, after that battle early on, I'm sure the Corinthians car has got no overboost left. He can't over-rev it at all. Everybody has come up behind him, has since had no trouble going by, so I think he's just fighting with the mere 750 horsepower and 11,000 RPM.
Yeah, I think so. He's really struggled for pace. As I say, it's got me mystified because I really think he's a very, very quick driver, and I'm sure he'll be out in strong form at the next couple of races. But yeah, this weekend, but there has been very limited running, a new team, and hasn't had much chance to get a good setup on the car yet.
Okay, now Abby Griffiths is down in the Liverpool garage with James Walker. Dreadful race 2 for him as well. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Yeah, James, slightly disappointing.
Yeah, but pretty gutted, if I'm honest. I had a bad first lap and I was pushing like mad and made a mistake at Abbey. Yeah, hands up, my mistake. And then we were just pushing after that, see what we can make in the pit stops, and as we've come into the pit lane, something's broken on the car, and we were in first gear, but we had no drive, so could be an input shaft, maybe something like that, but we've still got drive shafts and stuff. The guys are trying to figure it out now, so yeah, very disappointing, but we go to Assen and the next race and try and do our best.
Yeah, exactly, look forward and on to Assen, so let's hope that we can get the car sorted.
Yeah, they'll be fit. I mean, these guys, they know what they're doing, they're experts, and I think we might even try and go back up now and make sure it works. But yeah, we'll go to Assen and try and win.
Okay, put this one behind you. Thanks, James.
Milan on the attack there. Milan moving by Flamengo for 11th place. Duncan Tappy really struggling in race 2 to find the pace. He's now got Sevilla behind him, but Milan just starting to pick up a little bit up the order. Really strong run by Jelmer Berman and Duncan Tappy in race 1. But Earl, they just don't seem to have the pace here at all in race 2, whereas Spurs and Craig Dolby still do.
Yeah, I'm thinking Spurs might have done something with their tyres. I think they might have run new tyres at the start of the race, and now these guys have gone on to new tyres for the second stint of the race, and that might be that aggressive strategy that Craig Dolby was talking about, because you can just have a look at the sidewall and see the stickers are brand new on a lot of these cars, and they certainly have picked up the pace and are very quick now, and Craig Dolby doesn't quite have the same pace as what he had at the beginning of the race.
Car 4 under investigation, it says on my timing screen. That is Galatasaray, and you called it again, Earl. You said, has he gone into the pits too soon? I think he might have done. Now, it often takes a few moments once the time has got up to the 15-minute mark for the graphic to come up and say the pit window is open, but had he gone in too soon? He's lying in 3rd place as well, so if he has, that'll be a real heartbreak for Tristan Gomedy. There's Atletico Madrid in 4th, right behind them Spurs in 5th place. Now our race leader, Olympiakos, with Chris van der Drift, rookie coming into these cars for the first time. He's got a vastly experienced Olympic Lyonnais and Sebastian Bourdais closing him down. Last lap, Bourdais was a full second quicker. The lap before, though, and a couple of before that, when Bourdais was trying to get by Galatasaray, Chris van der Drift had a chance to open up a second a lap on that battle. So he's got a 1.7 second margin now, and if Bourdais continues to close in 2 laps, he'll have Bourdais breathing down his neck, never mind his exhaust pipes.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a monster battle for the lead in a couple of laps, as we see Seville diving down the inside of Flamengo. No, can't get it done there, but yeah, I think we're going to have a monster battle for the lead, and it's going to be fantastic. Let's see how the rookie Chris van der Drift holds up such an experienced guy like Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, again, Sevilla with Marcos Martinez having a challenge. 0.6 at the line, the gap between the leaders. Let's take a look at them. Olympiakos leading from Olympic Lyonnais, and they are in a little race of their own. Galatasaray nearly 4 seconds behind as we watch Flamengo and Sevilla battling for 12th. There are Porto and Milan, and they are just in front, but in fact Porto in 6th position. But our race lead battle is now just 0.6 of a second. So as Duncan Tappy continues to battle Marcos Martinez.
And here we go, on board the Olympiakos car. Chris van der Drift, how's it look? Looks like he's got a lot of understeering. Look who's right on the back of him, Sebastian Bourdais. He'll be hanging on for dear life. He uses all the track on the exit.
Well, of course, Bourdais, multiple Champ Car champion, raced in Formula 1 as well. And Chris is still on the way up the ladder. 2 years ago, he won a 2-litre single-seater category Formula Master. Last year, he raced in World Series by Renault. Now he's up into Super League. More power, more speed, but he's giving away a decade of racing experience and a number of championships. Formula 3000 champion, double IndyCar champion, Sebastian Bourdais. So in terms of experience, it's a hugely unfair battle. But we heard Bourdais earlier saying, I was 19 once, now I'm one of the old guys fighting these young kids. Will age and guile beat youthful exuberance? That's the balance here.
Oh yeah, and I think it's going to be a great battle here. As we go through Cops, it's absolutely superb. And the key part where we've seen Sebastian Bourdais so quick is out of Chapel and down the hanger straight. He's been so quick. Look at him, he's hunting down. Oh, and look at the speed he's carried there. And now it's about the exit onto the straight. So early on the power. And he's already hunting him down. What's going to happen? He's on that power boost. Are we going to see a pass for the lead? Down the outside.
Well, this is classic Mansell and Piquet, Mansell and Senna, Schumacher and Hill. We've seen so many classic battles down the hanger straight, but you're right, Bourdais was so smooth through there, so fast through there, and with the power boost on, the Olympiakos car stood no chance. And again, don't forget how long Olympiakos was battling early on in the race. May well be that Van der Drift has used his 8 shots of extra revs as well, and Bourdais, well, he's clean out front, and you don't need them when you're running on your own. He'll probably used one on the first lap, probably not much ever since then. Now listen, we talked a little about Galatasaray. There you see them on the graphic, 3rd place Galatasaray, drive-through penalty. They did come in too early. But let's take a look back at this pass for the lead.
Yeah, you see he's got on the power so much early. You can see the momentum from here, and he's pushed the button, and you can hear the engine rev just kick up. He's got more boost, and he goes past looking like he's got 1,000 horsepower opposed to 750. And then from here, he's just left Chris Van der Drift behind. He's got a lot more grip, very confident with the car, and he is the quickest man of the track. And look at his lap time. Just posted the fastest lap and was 2 seconds quicker than Chris Van der Drift on that last lap. So here's a man on the charge.
1:32.8, Van der Drift 1:35.3, 2.5 seconds faster than the man he had just passed, and that was on the lap he passed him in as well. Phenomenal pace from Sébastien Bourdais, putting race 1. What race 1? Right behind him, doesn't exist as far as he's concerned. All that matters now is the future.
Yeah, exactly. He's showing that he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if he had not had that drama in the pits in the first race, what would have come? But this is a superior drive, masterful drive, showing his experience. As we see Corinthians and Jordan de Bourdais trying to make a pass. What's going to happen? Oh, he's on the power boost. Oh, a huge block by the Corinthians, but beautiful job. Great composure by Frank.
Yeah, Montagny just carrying a little bit too much speed, though. You saw how much mud came off the track. Dry mud, but nonetheless, it's not grippy like tarmac is, as your shoes tell you. And that's Montagny got in just a fraction hot.
Yeah, but then you saw, the experience of Robert Dormas firing it straight back up the inside and taking no prisoners whatsoever. And it's going to be up to Frank Montagny to, serve up another passing opportunity and make it another opportunity. As I think he's got better pace than the Corinthians car, but can he get the job done with only 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the race?
Yeah, inside the final 6 minutes, and it's 1.5 minutes per lap, which is, I guess, about 4 laps now for Sébastien Bourdais as he turns into Copse, foot buried in the carpet. 2nd place, great job by Olympiakos and rookie Chris Van der Drift. 3rd, Galatasaray must serve his drive-through penalty in the next 2 laps, or he will be excluded. Atletico will move up to 3rd, Spurs up to 4th, and there's still a good battle there. Atletico's John Martin holding Craig Dolby just about a second behind him, and here you can see Davide Rigon. He should move up with the Anderlecht car as well. Flamengo, Sporting Club de Portugal. Flamengo got by Sporting then, so that's up to 12th place now for Duncan Tappy, but Galatasaray's term in 3rd place going to be very short-lived indeed. So this battle right behind John Martin here and Craig Dolby in the Spurs car, absolutely critical. This is going to be for a podium spot.
Yeah, well, it's already for 2nd place, because once the Galatasaray car moves out of the way for his drive-through, the Tottenham Hotspur's driver will move up into 3rd place. And as we can see, just lingering in the background is FC Porto.
Yeah, absolutely. Alvaro Parent, very quick in race 1. So, and a big mistake there under braking, gave the place away. And that was a mistake. You don't normally lock a brake when you're letting people by. You do it on a straight, not in a corner. So a mistake there by Gomedy. It may well be that there was somebody in his ear on the radio. Bars will go by, but effectively, with 4 minutes left, actually he might as well let everybody by, because going through the pit lane is just going to send him back out to the tail of the field.
Yeah, for sure. And now looks like he's coming into the pit lane and he's going to serve that penalty, accepted reality that they did make a mistake with the pit lane time. And it is a great shame, because they did do a fantastic job. And here is the battle for the podium spot, the last podium. What an incredible drive if the Tottenham Hotspur Craig Dolby can get on the podium from last.
No kidding. I mean, what a great drive through the field. 17 car field. He started 16th. drive through then for Tristan Gomindy. Let's hope he doesn't speed as well, because that would add insult to injury. Olympic Lyonnais leading from Olympiakos. Atletico third, Dolby in fourth. Now, who's got juice in the tank? Who has got those power boosts left? And will Craig Dolby be able to get close enough to use one or not? Because John Martin has driven such a strong race for Atletico. Let's have a look here at this mistake. Well, he goes a little wide, I think. Maybe he did let them through.
It looked like he locked a brake on the entry, and we've seen a lot of guys make a mistake at Abbey, and I think that's that new resealing on the entry. They are struggling with the bump, and we've seen 2 or 3 guys make a mistake on the entry, so it is very difficult. Just watch now, there's like that bump right there, and you can see that's where that lock-up started if you look on the track. And
yeah, you can see the bump is completely black, isn't it? And then there's a little gap beyond it where everybody flies across it. They're going to have to get the contractors back, because that's not acceptable in a Grand Prix circuit. All right, it's fun for us, but the Formula One boys will really whine about that. So here is our race leader then, 2 minutes 40, so at least 2 laps now to go. Olympiakos, the gap at the line is 7.19 seconds. Olympiakos in second place. Chris van der Drift will be very happy with that. And if John Martin can get on the podium here as well in his debut in this Atletico Madrid car in 2010, he will be thrilled as well. And it'll give the team a great boost, because then they'll get Maria De Villota in for race 2 in a month's time in Assen, and they will have good points on the board and hopefully a decent setup on the car as well. But I have to say, again, with less than half a season under his belt last year, he was a real threat to the front runners. You've got to accept that the Lyonnais car and Sébastien Bourdais are going to be championship contenders, and it looks as though Milan is slowing dramatically.
Yeah, that's not very good for Milan, and this could mix up who's going to get into the final 6. It looks like Jarmo Boomen had a problem. He did a fantastic job to get second in race 1, but such a shame that the AC Milan car is slowing. He's been slow throughout the whole race, and as we see, the new club to the championship, really taking the fight to Corinthians.
Yeah, Montagny, don't forget, got by for about 4 seconds halfway through Stowe, and then lost the position back again to Corinthians. But Girondin, that dark blue car, right behind the black and white of Corinthians, Robert Dornbos, and Montagny with the purple, with the pink helmet on in his cockpit. He's got another lap to try and do something, but I'm sensing now that he may well have no power boost left either, because he hasn't got quite close enough recently.
Yeah, I know. I think that's what's happened, and it's hard to get close with the downforce, but he can really close up in the slow speed. It only takes one mistake from Robert Dornbos, but he's a vastly experienced driver, a lot of experience in the higher categories in Formula 1. As we see our race leader, the last lap, he's coming around in control.
Olympic Lyonnais looking very strong here, took the lead from the start and only relinquished it during the pit stop rounds. Olympiakos led after an early stop with Chris van der Drift in second place, and Milan grinding on to try and finish within 2 laps of the leader and qualify for points. If they park it, they get a big fat 0, but the thing is going to park itself, isn't it? That's not got the steam to get down the hanger straight, and he's going to be a danger behind Porto and Basel, battling for 5th and 6th. But can Spurs do anything about Atletico? Can Craig Dolby get on the podium on this last lap? Top 2 places are sealed. And Carter Cairns off PSV in the gravel trap. And that's a shame for them. They were 14th behind Roma. There's a good battle going on, but Narain won't finish the race, won't score a point. No dramas though for Sébastien Bourdais. Out of bridge, through Priory, down the gearbox, another couple into Brooklands, feeding the power in nice and smoothly as he gets to the slowest corner on the circuit, Luffield. And now the checkered flag almost in sight, drills it as he comes out of the final corner. Around the pit lane, it's victory for Sébastien Bourdais and Olympique Lyonnais in race 2.
Bravo.
Laurent Redon there on the radio. Bravo, well done indeed. Chris van der Drift's French has improved. He takes second place and very close to the line. John Martin, the Aussie, takes third ahead of Craig Dolby in the Spurs car. So good result. 2 Antipodeans on the podium as well, a Kiwi and an Aussie.
Yeah, no, it was an absolutely stunning race. So Bourdais, I think, was in a class of his own, winning by 10 seconds, setting a lap time 1 second faster than anyone else on the circuit. showed his true class there. And then the rookie, Chris van der Drift, not getting many laps, but a stellar job to get a podium in his first weekend of Super League Formula. Very, very impressive, and shows what of things to come for Chris.
Yeah, absolutely right. He progressed well through qualifying, led here in race 2 after making a canny early stop in the pits, but nobody had any answer to the speed of Sebastian Bourdais. And I talked to him after race and I said, yeah, it's really disappointing. We had the car to win. We would definitely have finished on the podium. And he's right, he did have the car to win. He showed it when it ran all the way through, when it completed 40 minutes.
Unfortunately, we can't understand what he's saying.
I can, but I'm not telling you. Down through Bridgebend and up to Priory, just making sure that the tyres are picking up enough dirt on the way back in. Just a little reminder, making sure that he rides over all the marbles and a bit of dirt to keep the weight of the car up, to keep the rolling radius of the tyres up so it doesn't fail ride height tests or anything else like that. Shouldn't be a drama. Laurent Redon's team are very professional, and to attract a driver like Sebastian Bourdais, you know that they are not a raw behind the ear bunch of rookies. That first race was a bit of a glitch for them, and here for Milan, I'm afraid, well, the hang-dog expression tells you everything that 1,000 words can't really express from Jelmer Berman.
Yeah, it looks like he's behind the car about to try and push it, but it's not going to go anywhere, and that's a real shame. He did a truly fantastic job in first race, and now he's stopped on the side of the track. And as we have our race winner, Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, it's been interesting, hasn't it? Podium in race 1 for him, retirement for Milan in race 2, and here we are, retirement in race 1 for Bourdais, top of the pile in race 2. The consistent driver has been Craig Dolby. First in race 1, 4th in race 2. Okay, you'd argue that consistently, actually, Bourdais was quick as well, but the car didn't help him. However, he has put race 1 to bed as he wins race 2, checks the height underneath the Silverstone podium as he steps onto the car's side pod to celebrate. It won't be the first time he's been on the podium here at Silverstone. Isn't going to be the last either.
No, I think that's just the first of many victories to come for Sebastian Bourdais this year, and he's going to be one of the guys to really threaten the championship this year.
Well, remember him winning his first Formula 3000 race here at Silverstone. His father Patrick, also a racer, was underneath the podium in floods, and I'm sure wherever he is watching this, his dad will be just as emotional. There's no thing greater for him than when his son wins, much more than when he wins a race himself. Now then, Sebastian Bourdais, we heard from him after race 1, very disappointed. He's with Abby Griffiths now. I'm sensing he may be feeling a little better about life.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a serious change in mood. I can tell there's a definite glint in the eye and smile on the face. Sebastian, after the horror of the first race today, you just showed an absolute display of perfection and experience.
I don't know, but the car was really good, and I really wanted to give one to the team because they worked really, really hard to get that car ready, just ready for the race. And we didn't have any experience coming into this first race of the season. And we were right on the money for the setup, and I really pushed seriously hard. We had a little problem again on the pit stop, but could make up for it, and went for the pass for the lead. I was really excited and walked out, so I'm really, really happy for Leon as well.
You can almost see the smile just really wants to come out and celebrate. I won't hold you for too long, but you did. It was a thinking, it was an intelligent performance, and like I mentioned earlier, you just showed how experienced you really are.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Go on, enjoy it.
Well, as they say, form is only temporary, class is permanent, and there's no question at all. This man is class. You don't win major international championships by accident. Formula One might have fallen out of love with him very quickly, far too quickly, I would think. A lot would argue he's got a lot left to offer. There's John Martin. Well, maybe a one-off drive for Atletico. The club really love their female driver, Maria Di Velota. But they're going to have to love this Aussie as well. He really dug deep in race 1. Great fighting race in race 2 as well. And he was on the podium in 3rd place. Chris van der Drift just behind the leader. He was in 2nd place for Olympiakos.
Yeah, Chris, incredible, really. Brand new to Super League and brand new to that car.
Exactly, and on Thursday we got hardly any running in the dry. 5 laps I think it was, and then qualifying was my first time with new tyres, so it was a little bit, unknown territory. And on the first race, we chose the wrong tyres to begin with, but we were really strong in the second half. And now we're going to start the front and have a really strong race, and now here we are on the podium, so that's fantastic.
What sort of confidence does that give you going into Assen?
No, absolutely. It's just more. Every lap I do now, I learn the car more, and learn how it feels, just with the pit stops and different tyres and whatnot. So for sure, I was treating this weekend more like a test rather than a race weekend, because I had basically no time in the car. So now it's good, and I'm confident as well.
Well, you showed it wasn't just a test. Congratulations! It was a great drive.
Yeah, thank you.
So Dutch Kiwi who lived in Germany, raced for a German team, lived in Italy, raced for Italians, now racing and doing a great job here for the Greek side, Olympiakos. Well, there are our trophies, first, second and third in race 2. Olympic Lyonnais, our race winner Sebastian Bourdais. Second, Olympiakos, we just heard from Chris van der Drift, and Atletico Madrid taking third with John Martin. And again, another storming race, Earl. It was hard to know where to look. There was so much going on.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of excitement right from the beginning. I think a man that gave a lot of excitement to us was Craig Dolby, passing so many cars. I think that was the aggressive strategy, running new tyres at the beginning. Struggled towards the end for pace and couldn't get past John Martin for that final podium, but brilliant storming drive. But for me, the class was Sebastian Bourdais.
Alex Andreou, the boss of Super League Formula, presents the trophy. That was Chris van der Drift. Circuit commentator David Addison in the background there as the trophies are presented. Sebastian Bourdais, that grin not quite so evident during race 1, but it's back again. He finds his winning ways. And John Martin, third place. Excellent result for him. But as you say, yes, the man who scored most points without any doubt is Spurs' Craig Dolby. He is our championship leader, and he's going to lead the half dozen that go through, of course, because it's not all done. Not just one race. No, not just 2 races. Oh, no. Not in Super League. We also now have the Super Final to go. Confirmation then, another disappointing result for Liverpool, the champions. They ended up at the tail of the field in both races, but Olympic Lyonnais claim victory ahead of Olympiakos and Atletico Madrid. Another strong race from Basel and Porto, both in the top half dozen. Corinthians' Robert Dornbos, it was strong, and Girondin with Franck Montagny going from 17th to 8th. Was a great result. Galatasaray should have been on the podium, ended up 14th after a drive-through penalty. The team just miscalculating with that pit stop window, and so Galatasaray's Tristan Gomedy, he and the Barazzi Epsilon team will have to remember how to count up to 15. They just came in a couple of seconds too early, around half a minute or so, and that crucified what could have been an excellent result for them. In the end, PSV Narain Karthikeyan spun off Milan's Jelmer Berman. Podium finisher in race 1 had the engine or something just conspire to leave him out of the side of the circuit. And for James Walker, well, we heard earlier, a disappointing end to his first Super League Formula weekend. But we are not done yet. Well, let's take a look then, Earl, at the start. As in race 1, really important, Poleman Walker on the right.
Yeah, Poleman Walker used the power boost off the start well, cleanly led away. Chris van der Drift immediately up in third. You can see in the background there, Craig Dolby really charging in hard into the first corner.
Well, Bourdais' second car there, defending both mirrors, down by the pit wall in the background. Dolby's already made up 5 places by the time he gets onto the brakes for Copse Corner, or shifts down a fraction. But it's from here on in, James Walker suddenly has Bourdais right behind him, with Galatasaray on the second row. Immediately challenging, Van der Drift is right alongside as Bourdais doesn't get the best of starts.
Yeah, I don't think he was on the power boost, because if you watch his exit from Copse, he just starts charging, and that would have lasted 15 seconds and down into the hanger straight, because when you watch the next sequence, he just blasts by James Walker. But now we have the super final. It's going to be an interesting mix, because some of the boys that finished at the front in the first race didn't finish that race, so it's going to be interesting to see who lines up for the super final.
Well, without doubt, I think we